Hello, Horlick Leadership Team. This is a quick and dirty rundown on what Remind is. So here we go. Remind basically is a online platform or communication platform that teachers can use to text students and parents either on their phone, or they can look at those messages via a web browser. What's really cool is through this platform, no personal information is ever actually shared. So if a teacher texts their students via their personal phone, the students never have access to their actual phone number. It's just all run through the Remind system. So that's a big plus. Also, their messages are documented in a database through Remind, so you can always go back and see what was said between teachers and students. There's a lot of safety behind using Remind as well. So what's really cool about Remind, again, is that messages can be sent to any phone. You don't even need internet, so you can see a picture of kind of an older Nokia-looking phone. As long as a phone is able to receive text messages, they can be part of Remind. And actually, if they don't have a cell phone, they can get their Remind messages via a web browser. So if they go to, say, like a public library or someplace that has a computer with internet access, they actually could get messages from their teacher and respond to those messages. Another plus to the Remind program is that you're able to translate your messages into more than 85 different languages. So that's a big win for some of our families. It's real simple in terms of joining a Remind. So once a teacher has it set up, basically they would give their students this cell phone number, 81010. They would type that in their phone, and in the message box they would type @ and then whatever that teacher's specific class code is. And you can personalize these class codes. They are getting to be a little bit more taken up because so many teachers across the country are using Remind, but I might be able to make my class code like @VennyScience22 or something like that, and that would be what students would type into the message box. Once they do that, they then automatically are enrolled within their Remind class. Another way you can do it, if I go on to the Remind web browser, you can get printable PDFs, and that looks like this. So this is something we actually could have available for families as they come in to pick up their technology or their schedules, is have each teacher's Remind class information ready to hand out so they have a physical copy of it, and this has the joining information for getting into their Remind class. Another way that you can get students enrolled is just by simple as sharing a link. So they could copy this link and then they could put it into their Google Classroom, and then students could then go via that route. You actually are able to type in students as well. So if a teacher really wanted to add them, if they had their phone or email information, they could do it manually, but this is kind of a lot of work when we're dealing with 150 plus students. One other thing I would highlight about the functionality of Remind is that you're able to actually see the delivery summary of who received your messages. So you can actually tell whether or not students have read your message or not. And so that's kind of a big plus when we're kind of in this limbo of sending emails, and it's like, is it really getting to anyone or not? If with Remind, you actually are able to tell if a student has opened your message. Real quickly to hop through some of the features of Remind. One is you can set office hours. So you can set up the times that you're willing to accept messages back from students or parents. So that was always nice. As a teacher, I would set my office hours to be like from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. I wasn't real interested in getting messages at 2 in the morning. So you can do that. You are able to send announcements to an entire class, or you can even do it to just individuals or smaller groups of students. So this really allows for that individual touch to occur where you're maybe targeting a couple students who missed an assignment, and you can send it to just 5 kids. You are able to also turn off replies when you're done with the conversation. But really, in all, Remind I found to be very helpful with being able to connect with my students and families to keep them updated as to what was going on in my classroom. Along with, I frequently have kids reaching out for help via text message. They'd send me a picture of a problem that they were working on, they'd shoot it to me as a text message, and then I could help them by kind of showing them some tips or tricks on how to solve the problem via maybe a picture or something that I send back to them. So it really opened those lines of communication by having Remind with my students. Another really cool thing that you can do is, like, if you're really on top of your game, you can schedule your messages to go out in advance. So maybe you've got a doctor's appointment or something tomorrow, and you just are going to forget to send out that announcement that a test is coming up. You certainly could schedule it for a specific date and time so that you have your messages being sent out. As I mentioned earlier, you are able to translate your messages into 85 different languages. I'm not certain on how well it translates. I don't speak any other language except English, but at least you do have that capability to at least try to communicate in a different language than just English. This is new since I've actually used Remind. They have now integrated some of our apps that we use here in Unified. So you can see in this image you've got Google Drive and Google Classroom. So you're able to actually pull files directly from your Google Drive and put them into your messages so that students can access those. So that's really sweet that they've added that feature in terms of what you can do with your messaging. This was something that existed when I was using Remind, that you could add attachments. So you could share a photo, a file, a video clip, a link to a YouTube video. So if our teachers are flipping their classroom, they could link back to a video that might explain how to do a problem if a kid is stuck on something. So there's a whole host of things that you can do with just a simple text message, and you can add all these other different things into the message itself besides just text. This is more of just a kind of a cover yourself type thing. If need be, you can export your message history. So if you're looking for any type of documentation, like did we actually reach out to this kid multiple times throughout the quarter, you are able to export your message history for specific classes or even just for specific individual students or participants is what they call them. So this would be, to me, be a really great tool for, we're supposed to have like 2 contacts a week for kids. Maybe this could count as one of the contacts, is sending those message blasts out to our students. And it's really easy on the teacher's end, and then you also have the documentation that actually happened from the Remind end. Finally, I just wanted to share this frequently asked questions piece. You can have team teach a Remind class. So if I am working with a special educator, they could be a teacher in my class as well and have the same permissions as me. So they could be sending messages out and responding to students. If a student doesn't have or parent have a smartphone, they can use just a plain old web browser. So anything that has internet access, such as their Chromebooks, they would actually be able to use Remind. So those are just kind of some of the big features of Remind. It's completely free, and to me it just seems like a no-brainer as a way to communicate and make contact with not only our students but also our parents as well. Have a great day, everyone.